Hello everybody, what a crazy Tuesday it has been in Weatherland. It's snowy, it's slushy, it's icy. We'll talk to Keith Carson. Actually, we sent him out of the building and he'll update us with the latest.
Remember last year Parsons Field actually lost its plow driver? Well, they have a new one and we will have that story.
Also yesterday we had the emotional story of the little boy Keaton who had been bullied out in Tennessee. Well, there's been a couple of twists to his story. We'll get you the latest on that.
This is News Center now. Cue the music. Some parts of Maine are getting half a foot of snow today as a clipper cuts its way across New England, but the snow is starting to get slushy.
Last year we had to get ready in December. This year was a little easier.
Maine towns were ready and waiting for the big snowstorms to hit, and today plow drivers hit the roads, but streets are still very slippery tonight. Hello everybody, I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill, and this is News Center Now Storm Center Edition. Our crews are all over the state today bringing you up-to-minute road conditions, forecasts, and closings.
You'll notice there's somebody we did kick out of the building, and that's Keith Carson. He drove through Western Maine today, tracking the snowfall and keeping an eye on the sky. What's going on, Casey?
It's of course because he doesn't allow any of us to drive Stormy.
Yes,
so.
he's
hey
very,
guys,
very
you know. Well, I don't know that anybody would enjoy driving it right now, guys. It is very slick out here. We're in Gorham. We're looking down the hill towards the intersection of 25. We started out in Parsons Field earlier today. Straight snow, no problem. Light to moderate stuff, about 4 or 5 inches there. And then as this coastal front has pushed on shore, it has been freezing rain. And this is in the vicinity of moderate freezing rain. Temperatures of the surface are in the 20s. This is a really, really bad setup for some significant icing on the roads and certainly on untreated surfaces. K-Rex, if you can just kind of zoom down a little bit here. What's interesting about this is you can have freezing rain with temperatures in the 30s and it's not a big deal. When the temperatures in the low and mid 20s, then it is just straight ice here on the ground, and that's what we have. Let's have a look at the radar, and you'll see that coastal front struggling to push on shore. No doubt the models were way too warm. We undercut them and we were still too warm. I think we did a pretty good job, but I'll tell you what, this freezing rain is really hanging on more than I would have anticipated and set up this battleground, just finally starting to get towards the Lewiston area where we thought that battleground might be earlier today, up towards Augusta as well. The coastal front has a south-southwest wind offshore, temperatures in the 40s, so Cape and parts of the York are seeing that. Down East Maine has changed over to all rain. I don't think much of that is any longer freezing out towards Eastport, Lubec, and into Machias, but as you can see farther inland, it's that freezing rain zone that we have to watch. Good news is this precipitation will eventually wrap on out of here, but with temperatures in the surface in the low 20s farther inland and even 28 in Portland, but look at that. We're sitting at 42 in Rockland. There's that front. Very dynamic storm system, and it's been a situation where you had the rain coming down. Everybody says, okay, great, it changed over to rain. The reality of the situation is that this is straight freezing rain, which is a type of weather that it's one of the only types of weather I can find in Maine, guys, that nobody seems to like. Let's go to Jess now and talk about the origins of this storm system. We're actually quite cold. It was an Alberta clipper. You wouldn't know it though at this point.
I know, right? Pulling all that moisture in off the Gulf of Maine now, but this one is an Alberta clipper. There it is. It's going to tell you all about it. Comes out of Alberta, Canada. Generally, these storms don't bring huge snowfall totals, but we can show you here on the graphic. It comes out of Alberta, Canada, right? That's where these storms originate. If we can click through. Awesome. Thank you. They start right here, as opposed to nor'easters, which often come from the Gulf of Mexico. These move across the country and then into our area, so they don't have time to pick up a lot of moisture. So generally with these storms, we get fairly light snow, gusty winds on the backside of these storms as well, and colder temperatures. Keith will talk more about those coming up in the full forecast. We got a little bit more than light snow because this storm system able to pull in moisture from the Gulf of Maine that has enabled us to get a little bit higher snowfall amounts, especially in some of the mountains and higher elevations. All right, alternate names for these storms. I don't really use them, but they're pretty interesting. They're called Saskatchewan screamers sometimes, or Manitoba Maulers. They're all pretty scary sounding, but either way, this one's bringing us some snow, and we will talk about the colder temperatures on the way. Keith will talk about those coming up in a bit. Guys?
That's what they call us.
Sounds like some arena football names there. That's a good mascot. All right, so the Bangor area is teetering on the edge of the rain-snow line right now.
Tennyson Coleman is trying to keep warm at Dysarts in Herman. Tennyson, does it look like rain or snow to you at this point?
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like it has made that turn to the freezing rain. I'm standing outside of Dysarts truck stop in Herman, and we've been here for a few hours. There have been people coming and going. I just talked to a man actually a few minutes ago. I asked him how's his trip been. He said slowly but not surely. Obviously pretty dangerous driving conditions out here. People are driving pretty slowly on the roads here, some of the side roads, but there's a lot of uncertainty. We've heard some stories about people already spinning off the road or driving off the road because of how slippery road conditions are. But not to the dismay of many folks here, a lot of the folks here are from Maine, and I talked to someone who said this is just the norm.
Yep.
What do you think about the weather?
It's typical. It's winter time.
Yeah, how long have you been doing what you're doing?
About 14 years.
14 years.
Yep.
So you're pretty used to this. What are the road?
Well, you never get used to it, but you just deal with it. You know, you slow down and you mind your P's and Q's, and
yeah, for sure. Have you seen anything crazy on the road?
Just people was going faster than what they should be and spinning out, but nothing too bad. They seem up here. People drive, they're used to it, and people drive with a little more sensibility. So.
And Bangor schools closed today at 1 p.m. They closed early. Herman schools were still open. And a lot of people are stopping, but they're stopping here quick because they're just trying to get right back on the road. They know the trip's going to take a little bit longer. They want to get home. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tennyson, thank you very much. Warm up and get into Dysarts. Grab some food.
Some pie.
That's a great place for a live shot. All right, now that the snow is falling, it is definitely starting to feel like the holidays.
Families celebrating Hanukkah had a snowy backdrop for the first menorah lighting of the year tonight. So you have only 7 days left to get those packages in the mail and get them there by the time Hanukkah is over to this guy.
What'd you get me?
Don't worry about it. We have 7 days left.
This time of year also very busy for people in the packaging and shipping business. That means she got me nothing. Chris Sadecki takes us behind the scenes.
You can't do everything digitally these days. No, some things still require that manual labor, and that's what they do here at the FedEx facility in Irving. They take the packages off the plane, they then sort them with the yellow tape, and then they put them on the conveyor belt, and it goes all the way down to where nearly 200 trucks in this facility are waiting to deliver them to your doorstep. FedEx does this for around 400 million packages nationwide during the holiday season. Here in Irving, there are 300 employees helping make it happen. We talked to the operations manager, and he said that it's a lot of hard work, but it also requires help from the customer.
Just proper packaging, making sure that you package your packages correctly. Tape is always a must. You can also drop off at any one of our locations, not just a FedEx facility. We have FedEx office. We also incorporate Walgreens as well.
So you can help out these workers by making sure that package has the correct labeling and packaging on it. And also, as good as they are, don't leave anything to chance. Get it in the mail as quickly as you can.
And those shipping deadlines are fast approaching. The very last day to send out your packages with guaranteed delivery by Christmas is just over 1 week away with the U.S. Postal Service. If you don't want to spend a fortune, you only have a few days left to select regular ground shipping.
USPS has a little more wiggle room. You have until the 22nd to get your presents in the mail and just under a week to get it there with 3-day select shipping.
Okie dokie, Storm Center coverage continues after the break. Roads in Parsonsfield are in better shape this year now that the town is confident that it's found a plow driver who can actually handle all the stress. We'll get you those details when we come back.
And a government agency is looking into Maine utility companies and how they respond to October's windstorm. All of that and more when News Center Now continues. Of course, we are in Storm Center mode, keeping you updated on all things happening with today's storm.
Christina Rex also kicked out of the building. She's focusing on the roads, making sure the conditions are okay for the drivers. All right, what is it like in Gorham?
Okay, so I'm in Gorham right now, you guys. It's icy, it's cold. You know, I don't have the Keith terms, but I got to tell you, one of these winter miracles I experienced today, I got Keith Carson behind the camera to help me set up this shot. It's a real miracle, so I'm really reveling in this moment. But more importantly, how the roads are. Obviously, you know, right now they're icy. Earlier we were in Parsonsfield and they were really snowy. Now, Parsonsfield in particular struggled with their plowman who quit last year. So I went there to check out if everything's going to be a little bit better this winter.
Some people who live in Parsonsfield are getting concerned about what tomorrow's drive will bring. That's because the town's newly hired plow driver resigned over the weekend.
They decided to go with somebody that was cheaper and everything, and of course that's the name of the game today.
This time last winter, there was an abandoned plow truck sitting at the end of this road. That was after the newly contracted plow driver abruptly quit after the first major snowstorm. But this year, town officials say they're more prepared. Maya Larry, Parsonsfield's road commissioner, declined our request to go on camera and discuss how the town is avoiding a plow emergency like last year. When the newly contracted plow driver became overwhelmed, he quit, and the former contractor had to rush to pick up the pieces.
Last year we had to get ready in December. This year was a little easier. We was able to work on the trucks and get them done before the colder season got here.
For the 2017-2018 winter, Parsonsfield plowing is ready to go, which has locals relieved. Bobby Ferguson remembers the tough travels of last winter.
It just didn't always get plowed right.
But he's staying positive.
I think it's more fun driving in the deep snow.
David Mudgett says he understands why Parsonsfield residents were frustrated after last year.
Well, I don't blame them. Somebody, you know, takes on the contract and then is not sure what road he's going to plow, and everything's written right in black and white.
That's why Mudgett says there's nothing to worry about this winter. So they have nothing to worry about now?
I don't believe so.
Guys, those beautiful, snowy, fresh, snowy roads that you saw in Parsonsfield in that piece, not the case here in Gorham. It's icy, it's slippery, and it's pretty scary to drive, so definitely be careful. We're going to see a little bit more from Keith here in Gorham afterwards. For now, I'm going to send it back to you, Lee and Amanda.
All right, Christina, thanks. And we should mention that if you want to see that picture of Keith, go to Facebook Live. All right, the Maine Public Utilities Commission wants to look at records from October's windstorm. They asked Emera Maine and Central Maine Power to submit their response plans and lessons learned from the event. The power outages were on par with the legendary ice storm. Hundreds of thousands of homes in the dark, some for several days. State lawmakers are also planning an inquiry.
Voters in Lewiston will choose their new mayor today. Despite the snow, people from all over the city came out to cast a ballot for either Democrat Ben Chin or Republican Shane Bouchard. The election went to a runoff after no candidates got 50% of the vote back in November.
Senate candidate Roy Moore cast his ballot and rode off on a horse today. Moore is running against Democrat Doug Jones in the Alabama special election. The race is being watched by the nation because it could affect vote count in the Senate and because Moore has been accused of sexual misconduct by multiple women.
With handwriting that included one particularly chilling note, and I quote, "Oh, America, die in your rage," close quote.
The bomber who tried to blow up a New York City station yesterday is charged with 5 federal crimes, including terrorism. Investigators say that they searched the man's apartment and believe he was inspired by ISIS. 3 people were injured during that attack.
All right, this was a viral video that won compassion from people all over the country, but now people are questioning the motives of a fundraiser, how the anti-bullying message is being shrouded by uncertainty.
And Jess is in charge of the Weather Center tonight while Keith's out playing in the snow. It's your live Storm Center weather forecast when we come back.
All right, all day long, the snow has been falling. This is a time lapse from this afternoon over Portland. It's starting to slow down, which means it is time for the shovels to come out. As always, be very careful on the roads.
Yeah, and out on the roads today, you might have seen our friend Stormy, hopefully driving very safely because that's where Keith is, in Stormy. Well, he's outside of it now, with our full forecast. Pretty bad out there, buddy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we're in Gorham and we're on the verge of an observation that you don't see very much in the weather world, which is heavy freezing rain. Typically in freezing rain situations, it's light, it's drizzle, maybe it's moderate, but I don't know if we can get down here, K-Rex, or not, but this is pinging off the surface. It's raining at a moderate level, and this is just straight ice now. And in a way, we're being aided by the snow that's still on the roads. That snow has better traction, and the freezing rain sticking to it and being churned up. If this was straight pavement, this would be an absolute ice rink, and thus far, it doesn't seem that's the case here, at least in Gorham. Let's have a look at the radar and show you what's going on. That coastal front has fought for every inch. It's the battle of the bulge, for sure, trying to push its way inland. The computer models were way too fast with it. Luckily, we saw this coming and we slowed down the speed, but even still, we underestimated the cold air in place. It is in the 20s inland. 21 in Lewiston with rain. That is a cold signature for freezing rain. 28 in Portland. And you can see that front has pushed onshore more so in Rockland at 37, but it has really had a hard time. It goes without saying this small-scale computer model is too warm for tonight. I would assume that what you see in the green there is going to be at least mixed with freezing rain. Good news is all this moves out relatively quickly tonight. Down east does change over to plain rain, but northern Maine's freezing rain, sleet, and snow. But by tomorrow morning, it's out of here. Do be aware tomorrow, a separate kind of impulse will give us a few snow showers and squalls. It's not the same storm, but it could additionally slicken things up. And watch those temperatures plummet. Whatever you have on your driveway or whatnot, sidewalk tomorrow morning, get rid of it because it's going to be in the single digits by Thursday. In short, it's not going away. You're going to have to move it, or it's going to be there for a while because it's going to freeze Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. That's kind of how we're looking for the next 24 to 36 hours. Now, when we look ahead, it's mixed. Saturday, we got a few snow showers and squalls around. We could see even a little light accumulation there. I don't think that's a big deal. Sunday should be fine, and then we're watching another storm system on Monday. The computer models, once again, are trying to tell us it's going to be warm, but for obvious reasons, we'll wait to see how that actually plays out and see what kind of cold air is in place ahead with this storm. But it does appear there should be some mixing. We hope that it is just rain and not freezing rain this time around. So our active pattern continues to kick up here. And again, it will be cold, and in some cases dangerously cold, Thursday morning and more so through Friday morning, where I think temperatures could get below 0 in spots on Friday morning. So the wintry pattern, unfortunately, delivering. You know, we saw this as a possibility. We were hoping that it wouldn't be quite as drastic as it has been. So I would say the main thing here, guys, and I said before, I am not a fan of telling people what to do with themselves. I would say with heavy freezing rain that's ongoing in a lot of locations here, it's going to get pretty bad, I think, through this evening before we can try to clean things up through tomorrow morning. The freezing rain almost always worse than just the snow. Guys?
All right, Keith, stay safe out there, please. Well done.
Yeah, calm down with that light too. You may blind some drivers.
Looked like some type of disco thing going on. I don't know what's going on. All right, yesterday we brought you the heartwarming story of Keaton Jones and how the nation really rallied behind him after kids were bullying him at school.
Yeah, Keaton's video went viral, but now the anti-bullying message is getting a little more complicated.
I feel pretty stupid right now, people. I was pretty moved by Keaton Jones's video, so I reached out to his mom and was going to bring him out to LA and for a Bellator event that's coming up, big show, and introduce him to fighters, be his friend, you know. And she just wants money. She just wants me to share her GoFundMe account. And I asked what the GoFundMe account for, what is it for? And she said, oh, well, you know, Christmas is coming and I'm a single mother and blah, blah, blah. Money's tight, whatever. That's not, you make your own judgment on that, but sad.
That was MMA fighter Joe Schilling on his Twitter today, who says he spoke with Keaton Jones' mother. There had been a pair of GoFundMe pages that were set up for Keaton, but they're both frozen right now. Stand Up for Keaton, which was open 2 days ago, is no longer accepting donations. It had pulled in just under $60,000. The person who started that is putting the charity on hold. GoFundMe says it needs to contact Keaton's mom to ensure that she is the beneficiary, since the person who started the page does not know her. There was a second page that was purportedly started by Keaton's mom, but that page was reportedly shut down by GoFundMe due to some fraud concerns.
A number of employees of the NFL Network and ESPN have been suspended from their jobs and are being sued by a former co-worker. Hall of Famers Marshall Faulk and Warren Sapp, along with Donovan McNabb, Ike Taylor, Eric Davis, and former New England Patriot Heath Evans, are being accused of aggressively sexually harassing Jamie Cantor, who worked for the NFL Network for almost 10 years as a wardrobe stylist. Cantor says while employed by the network, she was, quote, subjected to ongoing and continuing sexual harassment by current and former on-air talent.
All right, it is time for your streaming report card. Just how much on-demand television or movies are we all watching? Netflix says its customers worldwide watch 140 million hours a day. Wow, and about 1 billion hours per week. The platform says that lately some of the most popular shows are American Vandal and The Crown. The Crown was nominated yesterday for multiple Golden Globes.
The Wreaths Across America caravan is making progress moving through the mid-Atlantic states today. The volunteers, Gold Star families, and many, many wreaths are on their way to Arlington National Cemetery. Zach Blanchard and Sam York are aboard the caravan for this year's trek. You can check out our social media accounts and website for up-to-the-minute Wreaths Across America coverage. We will have a live update coming up on News Center at 6.
All right, Cindy Williams is with us now. Take a look at what's coming up on News Center at 5:30. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. Yeah, more than a year after it sank, the National Transportation Safety Board has finally released its final report on the sinking of the El Faro. Chris Rose has been following this story since the very beginning, and tonight he will have the ending. And a Twitter fight between the president and a senator gets ugly. More accusations of sexism in Washington, D.C. That's all coming up in the next half hour. Back to you.
All right, Storm Center now continues in a moment. All right, last week we told you the color of 2017 was greenery. Today we bring you the word of 2017.
Okay, Webster says this year's word is feminism. They used lookup data to determine the biggest buzzword of the year and other popular words. Now this year, recuse, dotard, and empathy.
That's all you.
Sure. I'm not really sure what that was.
Feminism wins it out. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so much more Storm Center coming your way at 5:30 and 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we got crews out in the field that will get you up to date on the latest road conditions. Obviously, if you are heading out tonight, you've already seen it for this past half hour. It's not even the snow anymore. It's that rain that turns to freezing rain that turns into ice, and you can't do much with ice. So just be super slow and careful for that.
News Center at 5:30 starts right now.